Everyone knows Bezos, Musk, and Zuckerberg. We know the kings of the Western Internet. We know their faces. We know their politics. We know their egos. They're loud. They are visible. They are the merchants. But there is a new king, and he is a ghost. He rarely gives interviews. He doesn't go to Davos for World Economic Forums. He retired at 41 to study potatoes. But while the Western tech giants were fighting over AI and rockets, this ghost was quietly rewriting the operating system of global commerce. And the chances are, you have already let him in. He built a machine that is currently sitting in the pockets of 100 million Americans. But because he is a ghost, he didn't build a store that looks like Amazon. He built a disguise. To the untrained eye, his machine looks like a chaotic, trashy shopping app. People laugh at it. They call it a scam. They call it cheap plastic junk. They are missing the point. This isn't a store. It is a weapon. It is a psychological engine designed by a Google engineer to hack the supply chain, hack the market, and hack your dopamine receptors. It is the most efficient deflationary force in the world, and you don't even know how it works. This is the macro edit. In previous dossiers, we looked at how Western monopolies trap you with convenience. But today, we are looking at something different. We are debugging a code that doesn't just want your wallet, it wants your dopamine. To understand this new system, we can't just look at the app on your phone. We have to look at the original blueprint. We have to go back to the first time someone tried to hack the operating system of commerce. We have to go back to 1870. In 1870, Rockefeller looked at the oil industry and saw chaos. He saw waste. He saw competition as a sin. 10 years later, he controlled 90% of it. In 2015, Colin Huang looked at the internet and saw the exact same thing. Alibaba owned commerce. Tencent owned communication. The system was locked. But in 5 years, Huang didn't just break the lock, he blew the doors off. By 2020, he had 788 million users. He was moving more packages than Amazon. Then, he vanished. But his code didn't die. It mutated. It migrated from Shanghai to your Instagram feed. Temu, Shane, TikTok Shop. Look closely. They aren't competitors. They are clones. They are all running the same invisible operating system. You can't escape it because the system isn't an app. It is a method. Amazon is terrified of it. TikTok is copying it. They are all following the Huang Blueprint. 1. Delete the brand. 2. Gamify the brain. 3. Hide from the state. Let me show you how a mathematician built the most efficient weapon in global commerce, and why you are now living inside his design. Because understanding this system isn't academic, it is survival. Let's read the code. The mathematical prodigy John D. Rockefeller was born to a con-man father and a Baptist mother. He was born into chaos. Colin Huang was born in 1980 in Hangzhou, China. His parents were factory workers. He was born into the machine. This background, the factory floor and the mathematical abstract, would define Huang's entire approach to business. He was a prodigy. He didn't just go to school, he solved it. He attended the elite Hangzhou Foreign Languages School, then Zhejiang University, then the University of Wisconsin. While Rockefeller learned ruthlessness from the streets, Huang learned scale from the server room. In 2004, he joined Google. This is the critical moment. He wasn't just an engineer. He was there when Google was trying, and failing, to conquer China. He watched the smartest company in the world crash and burn in the Chinese market. He watched them try to apply American logic to a Chinese reality. He realized something that would become the cornerstone of his philosophy. The American internet is built on search. The Chinese internet is built on feeds. In the West, you are a hunter. You know what you want. You type AA batteries into the search bar. You find the batteries, you buy them, you leave. It is efficient, transactional, and cold. In the East, Huang realized, people are gatherers. They don't know what they want. They want to be told. They want to wander through a digital bazaar. They want the algorithm to feed them. In 2007, he left Google. He struck out on his own. He built a gaming company. He built an e-commerce site. He made money, but he wasn't satisfied. In 2013, at the age of 33, he got an ear infection. He retired. He sat in his apartment in Shanghai for a year, thinking. He looked at Alibaba. Jack Ma had built the Amazon of China. It was a digital shopping mall. It was designed for the middle class in Shanghai who wanted to buy Nikes and L'Oreal. But Huang looked at the data. He saw 1 billion people in lower-tier cities, people in Anhui, people in rural Sichuan, people who didn't care about the brand, they cared about the price. He saw the legacy debt of the existing system. Alibaba was trying to digitize the American model. They were trying to be Macy's. Huang decided to be Costco, but a Costco that existed inside a video game. In 2015, he founded Pinduoduo, and to the untrained eye, it looked like a chaotic shopping app. But within months, it was clear. This wasn't a company, it was a virus. But here is the key. This virus wasn't an accident. It was engineered. You have to remember, Colin Huang isn't a merchant like Sam Walton. He is an ex-Google engineer. He doesn't look at a market and see customers and products. He sees a math problem. He sees nodes and edges. He sees inefficiency. So, he didn't launch a business strategy. He executed a system update along 3 specific lines of attack. I call them the 3 vectors of capture. To understand the code, we have to trace these lines one by one, and we don't start with the app, we start with the dirt. Because Huang realized that to rewrite the software of commerce, he first had to hack the hardware of the factory floor. Vector 1. Control the supply, hardware. The C2M protocol. Rockefeller used vertical integration to control the oil industry. He bought the barrel-making factories so he didn't have to pay for barrels. He bought the forests to cut his own wood. Colin Huang took this concept and applied it to the 21st century. He called it C2M, consumer to manufacturer. In the old world, the world of Walmart and Amazon, the supply chain looks like a straight line. Factory, to brand, to distributor, to retailer, to you. Every step adds cost. The brand adds 50% for the logo and the marketing. The distributor adds 30% for the logistics. The retailer adds 40% for the shelf space and the rent. By the time you buy a towel, 80% of the price is markup. You aren't paying for cotton. You are paying for the system's inefficiency. Colin Huang decided to delete the middle. He went to the factories. He went to the paper towel manufacturers in Jiangxi. He went to the garlic farmers in Shandong, and he made them an offer that sounded insane. He said, "I can guarantee you 50,000 orders in 24 hours. The factory owner would laugh. How? Huang explained. I have gamified the demand. I have an algorithm that aggregates desire. If you give me the absolute lowest price, the price you would charge if you didn't have to pay for marketing, branding, or sales teams, I will turn on the fire hose." The factory agreed. They stripped the logo off the packaging. They turned on the machines. They shipped directly to the consumer. They deleted the brand. This is the white label revolution. Rockefeller lowered the cost of a barrel of oil by 10 cents and crushed his rivals. Colin Huang lowered the cost of a box of tissues by 90% and crushed the concept of retail. Let's look at a specific example. Garlic. In 2018, garlic farmers in Jiangmu County were desperate. The traditional supply chain was broken. They were selling to local collectors for pennies. The collectors sold to wholesalers. The wholesalers sold to supermarkets. The farmers were poor. The consumers in Beijing were paying high prices. Pinduoduo stepped in. They digitized the garlic. They put the garlic on the feed. They pushed it to 100 million users, instantly. The result wasn't just a sale, it was a flash mob. They generated 47,000 orders in a single day. The farmers shipped 165 tons of garlic directly to doorsteps. The farmers' income went up. The consumer's price dropped by 76%. Who lost? The middleman, the distributor, the brand. This is vertical integration for the digital age. Huang didn't buy the farm. He bought the data that controlled the farm. Now, Huang had the supply. He had the absolute lowest price. But in 2019, that wasn't enough. He was building a Walmart in the middle of a desert. Nobody was there. He needed to migrate the population of the internet from Alibaba's territory to his own, and to do that, he didn't use marketing. He used a bribe vector 2, control the market, environment. The subsidy war. But controlling the supply wasn't enough. Rockefeller needed to control the market. He needed to destroy his competitors. Rockefeller had the Cleveland Massacre. In 1872, he forced every competitor to sell or die. Colin Huang had the 10 billion subsidy. In 2019, Alibaba was the king. They had the premium brands. They had the trust. So Huang launched a nuclear weapon. He announced a campaign called the 10 billion subsidy. The premise was simple. Pinduoduo would pay you to buy iPhones. They listed the iPhone 11. They listed Dyson hairdryers. They listed Nintendo Switches. And they sold them for $100 less than the official Apple price, less than the cost of goods. They were burning cash, billions of dollars. Wall Street analysts were screaming. They said it was unsustainable. They said it was economic suicide. But Huang understood what Rockefeller understood. Predatory pricing is an investment. He wasn't selling iPhones. He was buying habit. He knew that the high-value users, the rich bankers in Shanghai, wouldn't touch his cheap app, but everyone loves a cheap iPhone. So they downloaded the app to buy the iPhone, and once the app was on their phone, the algorithm started to work. They came for the iPhone. They stayed for the $2 mangoes. By the end of 2020, Pinduoduo had 788 million users. He had consolidated the attention of the Chinese internet. This was a result of horizontal consolidation. By destroying the profit margin of the entire industry, Huang forced his competitors to bleed. Alibaba had to match the subsidies. JD.com had to match the subsidies. But they were fighting a war on Huang's terms. He turned e-commerce into a war of attrition, and because his structure was leaner, Because he didn't have the legacy debt of warehousing and logistics that JD had, he could bleed longer. Yet, here is the trap. Subsidies are expensive. If you have to pay people to shop, you eventually go broke. Huang knew he couldn't burn cash forever. He needed a way to keep those 788 million users on the platform without paying them. He needed to switch their motivation from greed to addiction. Vector 3. Control the user. Psychology. The dopamine engineer. Rockefeller created the trust to circumvent state laws. Colin Huang created the team purchase to circumvent ad networks. This is the final vector. The previous vectors controlled the goods and the competitors. This one controls the mind, and this is the engine of the system. If you watched our breakdown on Amazon, you know that system is designed to be a pervasive utility. If you open Amazon, you are alone. It is a solitary experience. If you open Pinduoduo, you are inside a multiplayer game. Huang realized that the most powerful force in China wasn't money. It was social capital. So he built a specific game to extract it. In China, this is called the price chop. You see a rice cooker. It's free, but you have to chop the price to 0. You tap, and the price drops by 50%. You feel like you are winning. You tap again. Chop. It drops another 20%. The dopamine hits you. Suddenly the blade gets dull. To get the next chop, you have to share the link with a friend on WeChat, or join a group buy. In Western markets like the US or Singapore, we see a UI mutation. The button is gone, but the math is exactly the same. In the Chinese app, Pinduoduo, the group buy is explicit. You see 2 prices, $10, buy alone, and $5, team purchase. You click team purchase, wait for a stranger to join, and you both get the deal. But in Temu, the global version, they realized that Westerners don't like waiting for strangers to buy toilet paper with them. So they hid the group buy inside the games. Instead of a team purchase button, you get a free gift link. To get the gift, you have to invite friends. When your friends accept the invite to help you, they are effectively joining your team to lower the customer acquisition cost. The group buy feature didn't disappear, it just put on a mask. In China, it looks like a co-op. In the West, it looks like a casino. So instead of a team price, you see a spinning wheel. You see Fishland. You see bonus Easter egg crackings. You crack open the egg, and it gives you a unique voucher for the exact product you were just looking at. Do not be fooled. The graphics are different, but the math is identical. They all rely on the same algorithmic trick, Zeno's paradox. The lure. The algorithm gives you 99% of the reward instantly. You are 1 spin away from $100. You are 1 egg away from the jackpot. The squeeze. But to get that last 1%, the wheel stops spinning. The egg won't crack. To move the needle that last millimeter, you have to share the link. You have to send it to the group chat. Help me spin this, you say. Help me crack this egg. Your friend clicks. They help you. But now they are trapped in the app. Now they see a free towel. They start their own game. It is a viral loop engineered with mathematical precision. The first interaction is worth $50. The last interaction, the one that actually gets you the payout, might be worth 1 cent. To get that last cent, you might have to annoy 20 friends. Huang didn't pay for Facebook ads. He weaponized the group chat. He turned 800 million users into 800 million unpaid sales agents. He didn't pay for billboards. He tricked you into advertising for him. And he combined this with the feed. Remember the gatherer concept? Pinduoduo doesn't wait for you to search. It flows a river of products past your eyes. It uses the same algorithmic intensity as TikTok. It watches where you pause. It watches what you tap. It knows you are likely to buy spicy snacks at 10 p.m. It knows you buy diapers on Tuesdays. It anticipates demand before you even know you have it. This allows the factories to predict the future. If the algorithm knows that 10 million people are going to want winter coats in November, it tells the factory in August. The factory buys the fabric in bulk. The cost drops. The price drops. The loop tightens. Rockefeller consolidated oil refineries to achieve efficiency. Huang consolidated human attention to achieve efficiency. The system was perfect. In fact, it was too perfect. It aggregated so much power and concentrated so much data that it triggered the tripwires of the only entity in China more powerful than Colin Huang. The machine didn't break because it failed. It broke because it threatened the state. The peak and the fourth side. By early 2021, Colin Huang was at the summit. His personal net worth hit $71.5 billion. He was the richest man in China, surpassing Jack Ma. Pinduoduo was the largest agriculture platform in the world. But just like Rockefeller, he faced a problem. Rockefeller faced the Sherman Antitrust Act. Colin Huang faced the Chinese Communist Party. In late 2020, the winds shifted. The government began the rectification of the tech sector. They looked at Alibaba. They looked at Ant Group. They saw disorderly expansion of capital. They saw monopolies that were becoming more powerful than the state. Jack Ma fought back. He gave a speech criticizing the regulators. He disappeared for months. Colin Huang. He did something very different. He studied Rockefeller. He knew that when the sovereign arrives, the merchant must bow. In March 2021, at the absolute peak of his power, Colin Huang resigned. He stepped down as chairman. He stepped down as CEO. He was 41 years old. He wrote a letter to shareholders. It was strange. It was philosophical. He said he was leaving to pursue research in food and life sciences. He said he wanted to study how to make potatoes grow better. He donated 2.37% of his shares, worth billions of dollars, to the Starry Night Charitable Trust. He pledged billions to rural revitalization. Why? Because he understood the fourth side of the Iron Triangle. In the West, the fourth side is the law. It breaks you up, but you keep your money. In the East, the fourth side is the state. It demands alignment. Huang aligned. He framed Pinduoduo not as a capitalist monster, but as a tool for common prosperity. "We are helping farmers," he said. "We are lowering the cost of living for the poor." He removed himself from the spotlight to save the system. And it worked. While Alibaba was fined billions and crippled by regulators, Pinduoduo kept growing. The stock crashed. Huang lost $27 billion in paper wealth in 2021, but the code survived. And before we track where that code went next, a quick directive. If you want more briefings like this, where we deconstruct the system, not just the stock price, make sure you are subscribed. The algorithm suppresses this kind of analysis. You have to choose to see it. Now, let's look at the mutation. The evolution. Temu, the code migrates. Rockefeller's empire was broken up into Exxon, Mobil, and Chevron. Colin Huang's empire didn't break up, it expanded. Huang retreated into the shadows, but the algorithm he built was still hungry. It had eaten the Chinese market, and it had hit the ceiling of domestic regulation. It needed new calorie sources. So the code did what all invasive species do when they run out of food. It migrated. In 2022, Pinduoduo launched a new app. They called it Temu. Temu isn't a new company. It is Pinduoduo translated into English. It is the exact same system. It uses the same C2M logic to cut the price. It uses the same coin-spinning wheels and Fishland to capture your attention. The interface is in English, but the code is Chinese. Open your app right now. What mask is the algorithm wearing for you today? Is it Fishland? Is it the spinning wheel? Or has it mutated into something else? Report what you see in the comments. Let's track the changes together. You have seen the ads during the Super Bowl. Shop like a billionaire. People laugh at it. They think it's cheap junk. They think it's a scam. They are missing the point. Temu is connecting the American living room directly to the factory in Guangzhou. It is bypassing the entire Western retail infrastructure. When you buy a $5 headset on Temu, you are not buying a brand. You are buying a unit of production. You are buying the raw capability of the Chinese industrial base, optimized by Colin Huang's algorithm, shipped via a loophole in the US trade law called the de minimis rule. It is deflation as a service. In a world of high inflation, where Americans are struggling to afford groceries, Temu offers a lifeline, just like Standard Oil offered cheap kerosene to light the homes of the poor in 1880. The system works because it is efficient. It is brutal. It squeezes the factory workers. It destroys the profit margins of small businesses. It floods the world with plastic, but it is efficient. And because it is efficient, it is spreading. Temu is now in Europe. It is in Australia. It is in Latin America. The Huang Blueprint has gone global. The conclusion, the analyst's warning. So, what do? You are living in the shadow of a system designed by a mathematician in Shanghai. Here is your strategic briefing. 1. Accept the death of the middleman. If your career or business depends on being a gatekeeper, you are in danger. The distributor is dead. The curator is dead. The algorithm connects the maker to the user directly. If you are dropshipping generic goods, Temu will eat you. If you are a retailer adding no value, the C2M model will bypass you. 2. Understand the post-brand reality. We were raised to believe brands matter. Colin Huang proved that for 80% of goods, brands are just a tax on the consumer. I want your read on this. Look at your own spending. Do you agree that for 80% of goods, the towels, the cables, the batteries, the brand era is dead? Or is Colin Huang missing something? Debate the brand premium in the comments. I'll be reading the best arguments. As inflation bites, more of the world will shift to white label consumption. Position your portfolio towards companies that own the infrastructure or the IP. Do not bet on companies that just own the shelf. 3. Watch the sovereign. Rockefeller taught us that monopolies eventually summon the government. Temu is facing heat in Washington. Pinduoduo is facing heat in Beijing. The political risk discount is real. Investing in these systems is not like investing in Coca-Cola. It is like investing in a geopolitical chess piece. Colin Huang is currently worth $50 billion. He is a ghost. He is rarely seen in public, but his code is running on your phone right now. He built a system that turned consumption into a game and supply into a science. He completed the work that Rockefeller started. Rockefeller organized the oil. Huang organized the atoms. The system is vertical integration, horizontal consolidation, algorithmic capture. It started in a factory in Hangzhou. It conquered China. Now, it is in your mailbox. You cannot escape the efficiency. You can only understand it. Because whether it's Bezos in the West or Huang in the East, they are both building the same thing, a system you cannot escape. Let's keep watching the signals. I'll see you in the next edit.